Now then, it's Monday and a bit of a later start to the vlog today. It's been a busy morning with catching up with athletes, had a few video calls and so on and so forth. At 9 o'clock I did an hour's gym session doing basically a hamstring dominant lower body with an upper body pull session. Came back, had some lunch, did a couple more hours work, and now I've just cooked this evening's meal ready for when I get back from training. This afternoon we're doing some cyclocross intervals. So I have some efforts planned on the cross bike, and I do enjoy doing cyclocross training as part of my yearly periodization, so I still do some cyclocross specific training in the winter because I find it fun. And I'm going to take you through the session, tell you about the session design, and give you a bit of an insight into what's going on in my head as I'm doing the efforts. It's a good example session of what you can do in the cross season, and yeah, so let's get to it. I'm going to do another an hour of work, and then I'll be setting off at roughly 4:30. Have a bit of a warm-up ride there, do the efforts, and then ride back. Duke, do you want to come with me to Beverley? Yorkshire tea, of course. Just had a little pre-training snack, a couple of rice cakes and a banana. And then the next 10 minutes we'll be setting off. So this is the bike. TCX Advanced Pro 1. I'm actually running like some 35mm gravel tyres at the minute, which aren't ideal for kind of cross riding. There's not much side grip, but I'm just going to leave those on because they're set up tubeless, and they're good for, you know, some gravel riding, road riding, bit of cross training and things like that. So I've got a maybe 20-minute ride to get to the patch of land that I'm going to be using. You can condense this session into like 45 minutes if you want to. The fitter you are, the more you'll be able to do, obviously. I call them overpaced laps. So essentially, I create a bit of a short but sweet cyclocross lap. Now that lap, what it does want to make sure is that lap is, there's an emphasis on overall effort and physiological input. So you don't want it to be overly technical, you don't want loads of barriers, you don't want loads of twisty turns, off cambers, because that will detract from the overall effort. You ride one lap hard, so at the end of that lap you're absolutely goosed, and then you have one lap to recover. So you do the same lap, 1-to-1 work to rest ratio based on distance, but obviously the time for the recovery lap will be longer than the time for the effort lap, and then you repeat that as many times as you want. So roughly speaking, today I'll probably have a 40 seconds to 1 minute lap. So obviously it's a lot shorter lap than a normal cross course, but that lap can be as long as you want, really. And then I'll be having a 90 seconds to 2 minute recovery, and then I'll repeat that. I'm going to do 5 laps, have a break, do another 5 laps. One key point to this is that hard lap needs to be hard. You need to put in full gas effort. And what this will do is it will train you to race at that intensity and know what it's like to feel that intensity and racing at that intensity, handling a bike at that kind of effort, and so on and so forth. But for now, we've got another 10-15 minutes of these gravelly roads. I didn't see you there. Ah, how convenient to have a camera placed very close to where I'm doing the efforts. A little point I'd like to raise. I am now on Beverley Westwood. I have absolutely no idea whether I'm allowed to cycle on here or not. I haven't seen any signs telling me not to ride on here. So I'm going to say that I am allowed to ride on here. Now, if I'm not, please drop in the comments below to tell me so, because I won't do it again. And I don't like to piss people off, but in my view, I am doing no more damage to the Westwood than if I was just walking on it. So if I'm not allowed to ride on here, I would suggest to the big men at the top, you need more signs to tell me that I can't, because up until now I've seen absolutely nothing. So 30 minutes into the ride, I've done a steady-ish warm up here, and then I've got to where I was thinking of doing the efforts and kind of roughly marked out in my head a course that I'm going to be using. I've also done a couple of kind of warm-up surges to activate the legs and get the heart rate up, and now I'm going to start the efforts. So I'm going to do one lap easy just to remind myself, and then one lap full gas. Repeat that 5 times, so I've done 5 full gas efforts. Then I'll have like 10 minutes just easy cruising, a bit of skills work, and I'll repeat that again. Like I say, you can do as many of these or as little of these as you can. The more you do, the better, obviously, but one thing with this session is to retain the quality, so we're looking for quality of each effort. Now, each progressive minute will likely get more tired, and therefore performance time will come down, but as long as you're giving max effort, so RPE 10 each time, and your heart rate's getting progressively higher, that's what we're after. Repeatability. I mean, for me, obviously off season, it's not a typical off season session, but it's a bit of fun getting the heart rate up into the top end zones. To retain a bit of VO2 max in the off season is quite critical. This is a fun way of keeping some VO2 max in there, whilst also looking at a bit of skills work and just having a laugh. You know, this is what bike riding is about for me, just to enjoy being out in the countryside, getting some fresh air. And if I can get some quality out of my training in the same time as that, then that is what the off season is about for me. Okay, first effort, here we go. From that one is that I set off in a slightly too lower gear, and I had to shift up, and that just detracted from the effort itself. So this time, starting a bit high gear, maintain full gas effort. Off we go. One block done. The effort's about 40 to 45 seconds long. The first one was like 40 seconds, and then it went down to about 44, 45 seconds. Like I say, I've done a block of 5. Now I'm going to have 10 minutes just cruising round, a bit of skills work, and then do the second block. Ah, another conveniently placed camera. What are the odds there?
Go! Go! Once again! Once again! Once again! Once again! Back is the incredible! Once again! Once again! Once again!
What you have to play with intra-session and manipulating the session design slightly to accommodate what you're dealing with is part of the process. I've actually just done 4 blocks of those. Every single one was really good quality, aside from the last few. Now, I probably could have done another block, and if I was training in the middle of the cross season, I'd probably do another block. But now these are things I'm considering as I'm going. I trained hard this morning in the gym and I hit some really, really good personal records on my deadlift, on some rack pulls, T-bar row, and I PR'd a lot of lifts. Now, that's accumulated a lot of fatigue. Now, yes, I could press on and I feel good now, but what would happen the day after? What would happen the day after that? Something to consider. Now, like say, if I was in season, the session itself is what matters, and when you feel good, you capitalise on that. Off season, you think about the bigger picture. And I know that I've got another lifting session tomorrow that I also want some good numbers in, some PBs in, and so on and so forth. And I don't want this to compromise tomorrow. A nice cruise home now, 30-minute cruise home. Spin the legs out, and then that is session over with. So just booling into home now, session done. It was an hour and 20 minutes in total, and yeah, pretty tired now that I'm got home. Got some quality out of it, good session. One common mistake is people thinking that as soon as they need to get inside, they do need to eat literally as soon as possible. And although that's true in part, you know, it's important to eat fairly quickly after a session. What you need to do is you need to allow your digestive system to return back to baseline. Make sure that your body is ready to digest and assimilate that food that you're going to put into it. It's not just a case of getting home and banging your food straight in you all the time. It depends on how you feel and how you are when you got back. Until next time, see you later. Now then, so I got back from the ride and I was a little bit unsure about the whole, can I ride on Beverley Westwood or not? So I did a bit of research, a bit of Googling, couldn't find much. So I just simply put out a bit of a question on my Instagram story, which I was inundated with replies, some of which were basically saying, oh, you know, if it doesn't say don't ride, you can ride, blah, blah, blah. But actually, I got a few responses of people who actually knew the rules. And that basically says, yeah, that bikes aren't allowed on the Westwood. In my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, it's a bit stupid because you're allowed cars on the Westwood, but you're not allowed bikes on the Westwood, and so on and so forth. But it's with the bylaws, and yeah, obviously I'm going to abide by them because I don't like pissing people off. That's the last thing I want to do. So I won't be riding on there again. I wouldn't recommend anyone else riding on there.'t to be honest, for a cyclist approaching the Westwood, I saw absolutely no signs suggesting that I wasn't allowed to ride. So I just pushed on. And I would recommend, for those who can influence this, putting up some more signs on the entrances to the Westwood. Thank you for watching, and see you again next time.